Aussie Street is a window into the shared recent history of ordinary Australia, with lessons for dealing with challenging futures. It's highlighted for me the power of storytelling to elicit positive change. Only 20% of Aussie Street is under roof or paved, but there are as many people as most wall-to-wall suburbs. No one has heard of greenhouse gas emissions, but retrospective estimates by those that lived through those years suggest it's about 30% of 2010 averages. We're on into the 80s and 90s with ageing at number 1 and 2, a native forest garden at number 3, and infill development at number 4. In terms of sustainability and resilience, these are the lost decades when consumption and economic growth were up, but community and the environment went down. On into the turbulent 2000s, a model of permaculture-inspired retro-suburbia takes root at number 2. North and west pergolas are designed to shade the place from summer heat, a large grid feedback solar installation on the garage, and a modest planting of native insect and bird habitat shrubs down the back. Greenhouse gas emissions have dropped, not just due to the solar panels and bicycles, but especially the home food production and frugal home-based lifestyles. Residents of Aussie Street, a lot of time away from home is outreach work to help others in the community achieve a graceful and necessary transition from dependent consumerism to permaculture design productivity. Everyone is getting on with life to help make the common sense of Aussie Street common again. You know, you don't have to believe in climate change to see a lot of common sense in Aussie Street. So in that sense, it's actually doing something very powerful at a community level. Like, who are those other people down the street that just are in a completely different conceptual universe to you, but you can exchange some produce? A lot of the ideology of permaculture and therefore RetroSuburbia is how do we rebuild geographic community while not losing the benefits of network community.
In 2018, we produced 428 kilos of herbs, vegetables, fruit and eggs. The area that is producing food on that block is about a 10 by 10 metre, so 100 square metre type area. Once you've lived in one of these systems, it just becomes so obvious that that's a better way to live. The thing about growing food in rentals is it's so possible to produce huge amounts of food, but the design just needs to be tweaked so you can start growing things like pepinos and babacos and caneberries and rhubarbs and things that are, you know, short-term crops. And there's amazing networks that you can tap into now with food swaps in the city, where you can take your mountain of pepinos that you've grown in a single year from a cutting. You can take them along to a food swap and swap them for someone who's got a walnut tree.
I've been pickling away and getting into making a whole bunch of preserves for the winter. What would be your recommendations to someone like me sort of starting out?
Do your pickles, bring your friends around, and you go around to their places as well. And so you're having a really nice social time, as well as swapping recipes, swapping skills. Is anybody here wanting to make bread and hasn't started yet? The calendar has that in it. Fermented foods and fermentation processes are actually very simple. You start this process now, then you go and do something else, and that then continues slowly.
When Danielle and I first got in here, it really lacked that community feel. It was just a store that was trying to sell food. What we changed here was bringing community into food again. My vision for Pachamama is not just this location right here, it's bringing the permaculture lifestyle into a whole community, a whole suburb. The biggest projects we're actioning this year is trying to set up a proper compost facility. We've done this beautiful move from plastic to bioplastic. We want to start directing all that into these industrial composters and then combining that with the wet compost and also a small biochar facility to start to create regenerative soil qualities that we can then give back to the community.
The replication of small-scale solutions is another pathway to effective growth and displacement of those other systems. If 10% of the population actually did this sort of approach, we think that would lead to a 50% reduction in people's work in the monetary economy, a 50% reduction in their consumption in the corporate and government-controlled economies, and a 50% withdrawal of their savings out of the central sources of finance. And that would actually result in a 5% contraction in GDP.